Hi, and welcome to Taking Action, Support for Parents When Teen Substance Use is Becoming a Pattern. My name is Meghan Heffner, and I'm a chemical health specialist with Youth Service Bureau. I will be your host today for the second podcast in a three-part series on parenting teens affected by substance use. The Youth Service Bureau helps youth and families learn the skills they need to be more successful at home, in school, and throughout their community. Some of the services we offer include youth-focused family counseling, diversion services including awareness classes, youth and family education, and school-based chemical health. We are located in Cottage Grove, Stillwater, and Woodbury. And our school-based chemical health services are in a few of the area's school districts, including Stillwater, North St. Paul, and South Washington County. You can reach us by phone, through our website, email, or Facebook. The objectives for today's podcast is to first learn about the signs of substance use disorder. I hope to also provide you with a time for reflecting on how to best intervene with your teen. From today's podcast, you will have the tools you need to help you take the necessary steps to get support or treatment for your teen. We are beginning the podcast today, assuming you have already tried the basics of providing incremental consequences in responses to your teen's use. You have tried involving your child in the process, but nothing is changing, working, or things seem to be getting worse. You may be at the point where you need to give your child a choice. You can tell your teen that you can either call law enforcement, or he or she can get charged or involved in the legal system. Or he or she can use diversion services, get an assessment, or find support through Gobi, which is an online treatment option. Realizing that your teen or young adult child needs help for their substance use can be frightening and overwhelming. Hazelden said it best in their family toolkit that says, there's so much isolation, shame, and stigma with substance abuse, not only for the addict, but for the family members as well. There's a sense on the part of the addict and everyone who loves him or her that they did something wrong, when in fact, they didn't cause it, they can't control it, nor can they cure it. Substance use disorder, which is sometimes referred to as abuse, dependence, or addiction, is diagnosed if certain criteria occur within a 12-month period, as defined by the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM-5. These criteria include the following 11 factors. Number 1, the substance is often taken in larger amounts or over a longer period than was intended. Number 2, there is a persistent desire or unsuccessful effort to cut down or control use of the substance. Number 3, a great deal of time is spent to obtain, consume, and recover from a substance. Number 3, craving or strong desire or urge to use the substance occurs. 5, continued use of the substance results in a failure to fulfill major responsibilities at work, school, or home. Number 6, use of the substance is contributing to relationship problems. 7, important social, occupational, or recreational activities are given up or reduced because of use of the substance. 8, use of the substance is recurrent in situations in which it is physically hazardous, such as driving while intoxicated. 9, continuing to use the substance despite knowing that it has an impact on your physical or psychological. It has an impact on physical or psychological problems likely caused by the substance, such as drinking with a liver condition or using opioids when depressed or anxious. 10, tolerance, which means that the person needs more of a substance to get a desired effect, or the same amount of a substance doesn't produce the desired effect any longer. And lastly, withdrawal, such that when the substance is not taken, a person experiences substance-specific withdrawal symptoms. When you find yourself at the point of needing to sit down with your teen to talk about treatment, there are several tips that can make your conversations more effective. To begin, make sure that the time you choose is free of distractions. Choose a time when you are both well rested and your teen is not under the influence of any substances. Stay focused on your goals for the conversation. Remember to approach the conversation with openness, humility, and vulnerability. Remain emotionally objective and be mindful of any shaming. Rely on the use of open-ended questions. Give your teen options and talk about what has or hasn't worked. I invite you to check out an article on the Partnership to End Addiction website titled, "How to Encourage Your Child to Get Help for Their Substance Use or Addiction." This article highlights how we should listen to our teens in our conversations about treatment. Chances are they do want help, but we may not be hearing them because we don't know what to listen for. The article teaches us about change talk. Change talk is any time your child voices a concern over the way things are or expresses a desire to improve their life in some way. They may say things like, "I'm really feeling depressed that I don't have a decent job." Or, "I think I really upset a friend last night when he thought I had one too many." Or, "I wonder if I should go back to school." Or, "I want to move out and have a place of my own." When your teen expresses change talk, help them connect the dots. Gently explain how their substance use is related to their current worries and their hopes for a better future. Of course, we know that our teen's reaction can go any number of ways. They may first say no or need more time to think about it. Before we sit down with our teen, it is important to prepare in how we will manage our expectations around their engagement with the treatment process. This includes the task of being planful if we are going to use incentives or leverage to persuade their involvement. This short video I'm going to play for you has some great points for listening to your child who is facing treatment.
Sometimes change makes sense to your child and sometimes it won't. Think about when you felt ambivalent about changing. It could be going on a diet, changing careers, or ending a relationship. When you think about those things, you might understand your child's ambivalence a little bit better. It's important to practice staying calm and using positive communication. You might say to your child, "It must be really scary to imagine not using substances, and we're here to help you. What's your biggest concern with that?" Listen to your child carefully, and you'll probably hear some ambivalence when he tells you a little bit about what's going on in his life. So you want to catch the subtle clue and a desire for change. Or he might say, "I feel worse rather than better when I'm not using substances." Well, that's an opportunity to look at how you can help him improve his mood, or maybe address underlying depression or anxiety. After all, you want him to feel okay when he's not using substances. It's important to understand that although formal treatment is the gold standard, there's a lot you can do if your child's not willing to go to treatment. For example, you can offer him some healthy alternatives to using substances. Now, that might mean a gym membership or going to the movies or even just joining your family for dinner. Finding them healthy alternatives will move them in a direction towards recovery.
The chart displayed here is a great guide for assessing your teen's willingness to make changes. Connected with this chart are a few rules to follow as you help your teen navigate their substance use. It is important that you constantly assess their motivation and insight. Recognize these changes so that you can adjust your interventions and focus accordingly. Be ready, flexible, and adaptable. Make sure you are working as a team. Be prepared for lots of gray area and not to have all the answers. Keep yourself in check by watching your own patterns of healthy and unhealthy behavior. As you navigate through the treatment process with your teen, know your absolute limits for safety. Consider others in the house, especially young children. Remember that this will be a roller coaster and that ups and downs are to be expected. Continue to model behavior that is expected in your family. And while none of us wants to hear it, expect to be wrong sometimes. But also expect to be right sometimes. Encourage a multi-pronged attack, including using several different types of intervention, such as individual therapy, informal support, and support groups. Within your limits, remain a constant source of hope for your teen and family. Of course, all this can take a toll on a parent or caregiver, So be sure to make self-care a priority, which includes seeking out your own help and guidance, especially for the tough decisions. And lastly, remember that you are responsible for the process, not the outcome. As mentioned, treatment relies on a multi-pronged approach. There are several professional avenues of support that you and your teen can choose from. It will be up to you and your teen to determine what will be the best fit. This can take time, trying out various professionals, and attempting several times before you find the right treatment path. Among other service options, I encourage you to seek out the support and guidance from any or all of the listed resources here, including Youth Service Bureau, specifically our Teen Intervene program, the Adolescent program at Hazelden Betty Ford, the online Gobi support, and Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge. While formal support may be necessary right now, it is always our informal support that will be with us for the long haul. Think about who is in your circle of people who you can rely on for support. Be direct with them about what you need. While there will be times that you don't even know, you can ask them for specific help that may include meals, a coffee date or walk together, or it may even be asking them to help you talk with your teen. We always caution families about how much and with whom they share information. This will be really important to your teen and the support you receive. Please visit the YSB website for additional support, information, and guidance. Lastly, encourage your teen to connect with the chemical health specialist in their school, who are listed here. You can also reach out to any of the school counselors to make a referral for your teen. Our chemical health specialists are great sources of support for teens who are deciding about treatment, or in recovery. Thank you for joining me today in our discussion on how to respond when your teen's substance use is becoming a pattern. Please check out the next and final podcast in this series that will focus on taking care of yourself when you are supporting a teen through recovery. Thank you and be well.